Yeah, yeah. Well grounded, but my confidence is sky high. Looking down on my competition like they thigh high. Used to be a shy guy, morphed into a fly guy. This rap shit created a monster, Lady Gaga. A dark horse without the jockey, who can stop me, y'all? Your whole movement is sloppy, why would we copy y'all? I kept my balance, when I stumbled, y'all would probably fall. And I don't do the back and forth, this ain't volleyball. Well known for my composure under pressure. Grab my keys off the nightstand and clothes off the dresser. I'm fresher. Until the day that I expire, I'ma keep applying.
So I would like to welcome y'all to episode 4 of Ambitious Entrepreneurs. I got a special guest today. He goes by the name of Pierre Douglas. What's up, man?
What's going on? I'm a special guest. Oh,
you a special guest. I've known you for a long time, so I'm happy to have you, man. I appreciate you allowing me the time to sit down and just chop it up with you, man. You've been doing some big things for a long time, man.
My God, thanks for the invite. Thanks for having me, and let's have a good talk.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna explain some of my history with you. I think I met you through Germs. Shout out to Germs. And you were hosting and performing, doing comedy. And the first show that we kind of did together, it was your show, but you know what I'm saying? I had to plug at the Blue Nile or whatnot back in the day, man. And I think the thing that blew me away is like the way the people showed up for your show. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't the same as kind of a rap show. You know, the vibe was different, which I dug. You know, it seemed like they were a little more committed to come to laugh than some of the shows that I was putting together. So that stood out to me. So how did you get started in comedy, man?
Man, comedy was all Twitter, bro. Just with a group of us, just local regular dudes, just regular as heck, being on Twitter. Being funny back when hashtags kind of dropped, not hashtags, trending topics, what it was. Trending topics were going crazy on Twitter like the early 2000s or 2012, I should say. Being funny on there, and then a local promoter was like, man, y'all should try comedy. And so all of us, never even thinking about doing comedy, never wanted to be a comedian, but knew we were just silly. Decided to do it, and she put a show together at the 400 bar. Remember the 400 bar?
That's why I did my first BFG show. Yep. Tom passed away, RIP.
Man, so we did our first comedy show there, and I forgot all my jokes I had planned. And so I'm good at roasting or just being silly. So I got up there, roasted everybody in the audience, had a good time being silly. And at that night, that high of controlling the energy and just controlling emotion set me off. And I was like, I want to do this forever.
Nice. Yeah, I always ask people, and I'm going to ask you the same thing. When was the moment where you knew that I could do this for a living? Was that moment?
No, not that moment.
Okay.
Because I didn't consider it. I just thought it was just something that I wanted to do. As far as a living, it took years before I decided that this could be a living because there wasn't a comedy scene for black comics. And so I didn't even know how to navigate through this thing. I just knew that I wanted to be on stage, and if somebody put something together, I was there. And then so it didn't become more so a financial situation until I started producing my own comedy shows. First one at the Capri Theater, which I did fairly quickly after that. But that was like my first produced show at the Capri Theater, and then made some money there. And I was like, okay, there's something to this as far as financially, but also enjoying the art of it and, you know, meeting people and just having a good time. And so I kept doing shows there. It was going well, and so from there I grew as a businessman. I would say before a comedian, in the which is weird. Like,
yeah, it's backwards in some ways, but it's probably was a blessing in disguise.
Absolutely.
Because you were prepared for certain things that certain people wouldn't be prepared for because they're thinking about the craft and not the business part of it.
Yeah. So I was doing shows and barely getting on stage because I was running the show, jump on for like 5 minutes, and then like, all right, I go back, finish running the show. And so I learned the business part of comedy very fast. So that actually turned to be a blessing because once I started building my craft, now you can't tell me anything that I don't know about the back end of this. So you can't F me around.
How much, and I talk about this with people all the time, how much does that take away though from what you're doing in terms of your own sets, or how much time you can invest in your own thing when you're running everything? Because I was the ticket guy, I was the security, I was the host, and I had the headline. So speak on that a little bit.
So early on, it was a mental headache. It was a confidence burden because you're not good at this. I'm not good at this. I should be like sitting down, figuring this out, going over my jokes and my notes. And so early on, it was difficult. Like I was even scared to get on stage sometimes because I wasn't in the headspace. But then fast forward, I'll say when I was like, all right, I'm good at this. I don't need time to think. I did a birthday comedy show for myself, and I literally ran, and I was recording my first comedy DVD at the time too, and I literally said everybody, ran everything, running around, and got on stage like it was nothing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, all right, now I mastered it. And that wasn't until like 2017. I was like, I mastered being a full package of being a businessman and a comedian. But in the beginning, I was like, man, this is stupid. Like, you be tired. By the time you get on stage, you be tired as heck, man.
Yeah, energy-wise, that's where I kind of felt it the most. Sometimes when I look back on performances, I can tell that I was kind of drained when I got on stage, which is unfortunate because you want to give people the best show possible. Right. But yeah, it's cool speaking to somebody who can relate to some of those things because some people think that it's just easy. Oh, man, this is what you got to do coming up. No, some people shoot straight to the point where they're in the back the whole time just waiting to go on, and you got other people taking care of that stuff. The blessing about it is you controlling everything and you know where the money's going. You know what's going on, but when am I going up, bro?
Now, and you said the blessing in it is knowing the financial part is the blessing. But even in that, because you're hiring other comedians or other hip hop artists to come be a part of your show, and so they feel like you're taking all the money or making all the money, even though we're in the same space as entertainers. But it's like, hold on, fam, I'm taking the risk. I'm doing all the work. Or can I say that?
And you can absolutely say whatever you want on the platform.
Like, fam, so in that space, I got a lot of flack about that. Like, you're making all the money off of us. I'm like, well, for one, you wouldn't have a platform at a theater, a small theater, for one. Secondly, I put the bread up, so I'm making that back first. So I'm not really making all the money. And then thirdly, shut their ass up. So
yeah, absolutely, and that's funny you bring that up because I went through some of those same things. I mean, it's like, I have to go build a relationship with the person that owns the venue. Yep. I have to have meetings with them when you guys are not around. Yep. I'm paying for the flyers, and my tickets had BFG on them, so they was custom tickets. I had to get those made on my own, and I got to deal with the headache of just setting everything up besides doing performing.
Right.
Now, when I came up, it was a guy that just gave me 10 tickets and was like, sell these and you can perform. When I started doing shows, a lot of times I would give people 20, like, let's do 50-50. You keep your money, you can bring me, just to try to encourage them to, that they're getting something from it.
Yeah.
But I think artists, from being a realist standpoint, they fail to realize you're probably not bringing a crowd.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I need to be compensated in some type of way. Now, if I know 50 people is going to show up for you, then we can work something out. Right. But most of these people are just trying to get on. Something else I want to talk to you.
Can we stay there for 1 second?
Absolutely.
Because like you say, and I want to speak as an artist in that, because I've been in certain positions where like, all right, sell tickets is how you get paid. I was like, hell no, because you're hiring me to be a comedian, right? And I know, like, if I'm doing somebody else's show, not my own show, people aren't going to come out. I'm confident that people probably not finna come. I'm finna come do my time and dip. And so I dealt with that for a long time. Like, how do I make money from this, but not that way? Because if I don't sell tickets, I'm just here doing this time, and then what happens after that? And so as an artist, you be like, man, I'm not doing that. That's stupid. But then as an artist, like, all right, if you're confident in what you do, it's like, then do it. But me, I was like, hell no. Here, you take your tickets back. Either you're gonna pay me or you're gonna pay me.
When did you reach?
Or I'd rather do it for free, if anything.
Okay. When did you reach that point?
I never did it. I never sold tickets. And if I try, well, I'm gonna say never. I've tried it, and I'm like, all right, just give me the tickets. But I just like, all right, I just give them away. If anything, it get to the point where I'm like, all right, just give them away. Cause I couldn't sell them. And I just felt like
it's stress involved.
And I just felt like I'm not gonna drive around town dropping off tickets and stuff like that. And so I was like, this ain't it, fam. And as I built my name, and I knew that I could do this myself. I didn't need to be booked. I could book myself.
Nice.
Right? For at least in the Twin Cities, right? So I don't have to sell your tickets. I can just do this shit myself, right? And so at that point, I was like, I'm not doing that. Unless I had a great relationship with this person or whatever, and then I'll do it for free, if anything. If you can't pay me, if it's tight, just tell me that. we're both figuring it out. Man, I'm here for free. Like, or give me some drinks.
We took more losses than we actually gained during those shows, and you hosted shows for me for free before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Get me a couple drinks, whatever the case may be.
Right.
I would feel bad personally from a moral standpoint if I know I'm bringing in a lot of money and I'm not breaking people off.
Right.
The reality was we weren't really making money from those shows. We might be breaking even, or we might make a $100 or $200 split between me and Rob. So it's like, I don't have it to give, but I want to give you opportunities to make some money. So I think sometimes that's hard for people to understand unless they're actually in the middle of doing that stuff. From the beginning, I noticed that your company had a huge church influence. You grew up in the church.
Absolutely.
How did that influence your comedy?
I grew up in a Baptist church in Chicago. And so even moving to Minnesota, my mom, she went, I guess it would be apostolic, I guess. And so I've always had that, though I knew the humor in church. And so I was able to translate that on stage. But also still be myself as far as like, I cuss, whatever. And so, and I say wild stuff too. So I was able to like bounce in between, like, and be able to kind of just appeal to everybody.
I think there's an art to that, and I've seen you do that so many times in the sense that whether the crowd's older and they ain't gonna go for certain things, or you're dealing with a younger crowd, I've seen you bounce and balance that well to where they're gonna receive it. I tell people all the time with my music, especially when I became more mature, I wanted it to be able to be listened to by all ages. So it's certain music that older people ain't gonna listen to, just like it's certain jokes you're gonna be able to tell with the younger crowd that the older crowd gonna kind of look at you like you're crazy. But what I always try to tell people, man, you was young once too.
Right. And for comedy, it's small nuances. Like if I know if there's an older lady in the front audience, I'm never going to call her grandma. I'm gonna say TT or auntie, because I'm not aging you. You call her grandma, that's like, man, what you call her grandma? So like it's little just respectful things like that go a long way as far as comedy goes. Is like, all right, I'm not gonna call her that, or unc. I'm not gonna call an old man grandpa. I'm gonna call you unc. Now we built a relationship. Built a relationship on like so. There's little things like that where I can do the church jokes, but still be like, all right, the dick joke coming next.
Yeah. But I definitely seen the influence, and again I say, man, you was able to juggle it and make it work. Bruce Leroy, you got another partner in crime. His name is Brandon, I believe.
Yeah.
You get to the point where you start Baddies. Walk me up to the moment where you guys decided to start a new endeavor.
For sure. And so again, it was always us not having a space to do comedy. I was always in a self-producing space, and then we all became friends in comedy. And as we started getting good at this, we couldn't get into the doors of the big name comedy clubs in the Twin Cities. Couldn't get there. They wanted to, to go through the bullshit ranks, but we built our rank over here. So respect our rank over here, or we're gonna figure it out ourselves. And so 2016, 2017, Brandon and I got together. It was like, all right, we've been doing this at the Capri Theater. We've been doing this here, there, everywhere, trying to find spaces to do shows. Let's find our own space, right? And so Brandon already had the name in his mind, and it's a weird way he came up with the name. Like his Baddies was like really based around women. Like he wanted to have beautiful waist staff, booty cheeks out, and just a strip club, comedy club is what he wanted almost, right?
Okay, I thought he had watched Hollywood Shuffle and Baddie. I don't, what I'm saying.
That's how Baddies came about based on that. But so I knew that we needed another piece to the puzzle, and so it's Brandon and I. I'm the business person. Like I think money business wise. Brandon he's a people person. He's good with people. He knows people. Cool. We need a creative, and that's where Bruce came in. Bruce is the creative in all of this, and so we got together, had a bunch of meetings, and we just started scouting spaces. We tried to go the traditional route of like structure or whatever spaces through Uptown, through Dinkytown. We didn't have the money for one, and we just didn't have the knowledge to do it that way. And we tried fundraising. We tried all these things, and we came across venues that let us produce shows under our banner of Baddies Comedy. So like 4th Street Saloon over North, we did a lot of shows there, and Heritage Tea House over in St. Paul, and just very little, small, cool spots where we can build our brand of Baddies. And then, so I worked at Delta Airlines at the time, and I had a coworker. His name was Raj, and I was picking up a shift for him, And we just happened to talk about what I was doing. He was like, you know what? I got a space for that. No, what happened was Bruce and I were writing a stage play, and he came to give me some money for taking his shift. And he saw what I was doing. He was like, yo, you do that? I got this, right? So he owned this office building over in South St. Paul, office building. And this office building had a entertainment space built in there, which was like, what? Right? And so he was like, I have this space for you. If you want to use it, you can rent it out, do whatever you want. Let's just figure it out. I was like, dope. And so we was like, I told him like, I found something. It's makeshift as hell, super makeshift, but it's a space for us to do comedy and have our own. And so we went there, cold, heat wasn't working, none of that stuff. But we found a gym, right?
Yeah, it's my baby.
We didn't know about permits, we didn't know about none of that stuff. We just like, we found something, let's rock. And so we cleaned it up, began to prepare, poured our money together to just buy the chair. We found chairs at like this Chinese restaurant that was selling chairs. Like, let me get those. So we found chairs, we found some sound equipment, and we found whatever we could to just put something together to have a comedy space. So we worked on that, and then so February came, February 4th or whatever it was, 2000 and whatever year, grand opening in the Baddies Comedy Office Building. And so
So I'm gonna pick it up from there. I come to y'all first show. I come to the opening. It's electric. The buzz in the building, you can feel it.
Yeah.
When you walk in the door, that something big is going on here.
Right.
You know, and to other people, it might have seemed like it kind of came out of nowhere, but for you and somebody that watched what you were doing, it was building up.
Yeah.
You know, so Baddies opens up. You got so much momentum. Before I continue with that, I want to talk about what you were talking about before, prior to Baddies, the politics involved in this game, because you guys have politics in the comedy game, just like I have politics in the music game. And the reason why it was Blue Now for 3 straight years is because we couldn't get in anywhere else. The reason why we got out to the Minnesota Music Cafe, and my guy always say, man, you was the first person I knew, like far as that rapped, that they let in the door consistently. But the reason why that is I'm sending emails, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. They don't want to let me in the door. And people can say, well, you know, people are looking for people who can bring a certain amount of people, but that was bullshit.
Yeah.
Because it was people that didn't look like me, that were other races, that were getting in those doors.
Right.
So it was something bigger than that, and I knew it. So we were trying to find a way to keep that ship afloat until something else came up. So I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
In terms of Baddies, I think the highlight is Kevin Hart comes in.
Right. The highlight and then the fail at the same time. And
Baddies has this momentum, Hart of the City. How did that whole thing come about?
Right. And so I'm gonna scale back on that. And so we opened February 4th. We had this big buzz. The next show, nobody comes. Like it's back to normal. Like, oh, snaps, right? And so, but now we're growing. We're building this space from looking makeshift to looking like something, right? And so we get into maybe June of the month or whatever. And
Debut show was February, right?
Yep, February. So we're in June now, and we knew that Kevin Hart was doing Hart of the City, and so and he was coming to the city to scout venues, and it's just the perfect place, perfect time, perfect 3 young black comedians trying to figure it out in a town where there's no space for black comedians, right? Perfect story. And so he's doing a book signing at the Mall of America the week before. Me and Bruce go buy the book. We're gonna let him know who we are. We go like, we didn't care about the book. We're like, hey, Kevin Hart, hey, this is Pierre, this is Bruce. You coming to our comedy club to do da-da-da. He's like, yeah. To let us know that he recognized that we knew it. We were on team. Like, no, he know what he recognizes, right? And so they come. It was Joey Wells, he's part of Kevin Hart's team, and some other guys. They come, they view the spot. They like, this is bullshit, right? But they knew that the story behind it was marketable, and they knew that we were like driven comedians who were really trying to figure this craft out and figure the business out as well. So they went they were going to pick First Ave at first, but they didn't do that. They were going to pick, I think, Acme after that, but we got it. So we got it based off who we are and our story, which is like, it's a dope story. And so they pick us for the host the show, and they come in and they redo the whole comedy club. They give it a facial uplift to look good on TV, right? And so filming day comes, Kevin Hart's in the building. He's there for like 15 minutes though. He walks in, daps everybody up, views the space, leaves, comes back, new gear on, daps everybody up again, sits in the back of the corner for the show. We filmed the show, show's over. Now we got a buzz. Now we got momentum. But now we didn't pull permits. We didn't do none of that shit because we didn't know about opening a new business, right? And so nobody even knew we existed in the city. The St. Paul didn't even know we existed, right? And so now the mayor's there, fire chief's there, people are Kevin Hart's here. So everybody who's somebody is now at this space. They're like, okay, well, now that this is over, let's get this space to where it's supposed to be because we want this space to be something for St. Paul. But we don't have no money. We're just still figuring it out. And the owner at the time, he didn't have any money as well. He was like, I don't even know, right? And so, but we couldn't come together to figure out how to make this thing continue. And so we had maybe 4 shows after Kevin Hart, and then it was like, doors closed.
That's a story that that's all good. That's a story that I've always wanted to know because from afar, it was like, wow, okay, loads of momentum, and then it's just over. Now, personally, I know you told me the show after, you didn't get the same turnout. I don't know how many shows you guys ended up doing total.
After Kevin Hart, we were good. But, I mean, after the grand opening, it was like, all right, we got to, it's not, a black-owned comedy club ain't going to sustain us.
So time out. The Hart of the City was before you did the grand opening?
After.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. So I remember thinking in my head, and like I said, with the electricity, the buzz that was in the building, I was like, this ain't gonna be big enough for them.
Yeah.
This space is not gonna be big enough for them. Like this, they're gonna need more space because this is finna be the spot.
Right.
And then that happened, and then it seems like the momentum died. But before we get back to that, so all of you guys, how many of you actually recorded sets?
So everybody auditioned. And initially, me, Bruce, Brandon, and I got picked for the show. The 3 of us got picked. But then they said it didn't look good for the 3 owners to also be on the TV show. It just looked like we were like, it wouldn't look favorable, like they didn't do their job of just skimming through talent and shit like that. And so, all right, cool. They go back and they pick Bruce because he was a yoga instructor. He's just more marketable at the time between the 3 of us. Dope. Our brother is on. And from there they picked 3 other people who were from the Acme scene. So Ali, Greg, and Earl. They were from the Acme scene. Still bullshit because like that's pre-picked. Like that's the next best 3.
Let me ask you, how difficult was that for you from a personal standpoint? Even though you're happy for your brother and you're happy to see the light shine on the scene, so to speak. Personally, how did you feel at that time?
I was heartbroken. I'm not even gonna lie. I was destroyed. Like I cried because going back to 2012, I built the urban comedy scene for Minneapolis. Nobody but me. I started this back up. Then Shedgy came. That's my brother. I love him. He came and he has a bigger name, but I built the Minneapolis urban comedy scene. I've lost a lot. I've almost been evicted behind like putting on shows and shit like that. And so this is like my moment of like the blood, shed, tears moment, right? I'm like, here we go, we on. And then I didn't get this right here, right? I was like, I was hurt, bro. But then there was a blessing in disguise, right? I didn't get on TV, great. But I ended up getting booked with an agency. I started being consistently booked. And so I didn't get that, but I got something out of it in terms of like my career took off a little bit.
I actually put this in my notes because I wanted to talk to you about it, but I actually saw a post where you were bigging your guys up. What's your relationship now with the 2 co-owners from Baddies?
We're just together last night and the night before. So we perform as best we can now that we're back into a normal life. But we were at House of Comedy on Wednesday. Bruce headlined. I hosted, Brandon featured. Then we all hung out on Thursday at Bruce's comedy night over in the Brooklyn Center. So those are my brothers. Comedy and the pandemic took away our hangout time, but we still love each other and we still support each other as best we can.
Nice. That's always a good thing to hear, man, because sometimes the business gets messy and then those relationships can't be maintained.
Yeah, we ain't making no money, so it ain't nothing to fuck up.
True. So my next question to you is, because I know from just your ambition and listening to you talk, why was there no plan to find another space where you guys could do it legitimately?
That's you.
That's me?
Yeah.
Man. I cut all my notifications off, I thought. Yeah, but why was there no plan made
Right.
for that?
We tried. We tried to rent out restaurants, but not rent out, but partner with restaurants who had slow nights. Let me give us your Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We'll build a space. We tried everything, and it scaled back to no money. Between the three of us, like we're fathers, or me and Bruce are fathers. We got family, so we couldn't devote all of our income how we wanted to. No investors, and so we just didn't have the business savvy altogether collected to do something that big. But we tried, like we really tried to find. We tried to salvage that. Even we was like, man, fuck the city of St. Paul. We'll do this. We'll sneak and do this. We tried that, but we were just scared to get fined and things like that. But no, we definitely tried to find a new space. We tried to come back. We tried to go north because we're all North Siders, and so we tried that as well. But it just didn't work. It just didn't work.
So the momentum kind of goes down a little bit. You regroup eventually. How did you become Cool P the Realtor?
I took my first real estate course in 2010 because my mom was a realtor, and I felt like that's what I should do as well. But I saw the practice exam. I was like, I know I'm never gonna pass this test. So I just fell back. Found comedy. Then my mom passed away. I was like, okay, let's pick this back up as a way to kind of hold on to her and be close to her. And so picked it back up in 2017. Finished the courses out. Took me 7 tries to pass that damn test. I felt stupid, but I got it done. So I picked it back up, right? And so got into that business, and it's great. It's fun, and I liken it to comedy in the sense of I'm a servant of people. Like comedy, I serve through laughter or whatever it is, but in this way, I get to serve through reaching home ownership and reaching this goal that, you know, for us Black people never thought would freaking happen, right? And so. And then I go back to what I said, where I like to control emotions. That's what I do. I love to host comedy shows because I control the energy. Buying a house for a Black person who never thought it was going to happen, you know how much emotion is involved in that?
It's a whole lot of emotion. I'm in the process of trying to do what's necessary to get us one, and I'm going through that stuff right now, and it ain't even got to the point where I'm starting to, you know, actually go and look at houses. Right. But
are you there? So
yeah,
we ain't gonna put your business out, but
So one thing I can say about you, and I think it's important when you're doing business, is being able to relate.
Right.
When you're talking about the majority of the people that look like us, that have never, they mama, grandparents, nobody has ever owned a house. So this is a huge step, step that we didn't even think was possible. I think your approach it's a winner.
Yeah.
Because when I hear you talk, when we have conversations about this stuff, I have confidence that what you're saying to me is right. Because anytime you're dealing with some business and people start talking fast, you start thinking, you get paranoid. Man, is this person trying to get over on me?
Yeah.
So I think because you're so relatable, I think it's easy for people to trust you and trust the process.
And so with that, I made sure that I knew what I was talking about for one. And so I'm heavy on understanding, because this is a big purchase, and it's a lot that goes. There's a lot of nuances there. One mess up can turn this thing south. And so and I want the person I'm working with to be comfortable with what they're doing and know what they're doing. And so if I don't know, you're not gonna know. And so I made sure I knew about the contracts and how this works, and how to just easily recite to you the 4 steps to buy a house. Like I can just tell it to you like that and make it make sense. Like it's not a whole lot to it. And so, and even when it comes to down payment programs, we care about that. Like people care about that. So I have to know what these things are and where the money is, because everybody ain't got $10,000 to put down or 20% to put down.
Facts.
All you need is 3.5% to put down, and that's like $7,000 on like a $200,000 house. Don't quote my numbers, but somewhere around there, right? And so I want to make sure I knew these things, and that how I projected to my people was understandable, digestible, and that I was confident in what I was saying. Like, and then as you see me going through the ringer, like a new buyer, new homeowner, new buyer, you're like, all right, maybe he know what he's doing, right? And so I was heavy on just like knowing what I'm doing and understanding that when I recite it to people that I'm saying it in a digestible way, and it works.
Are you originally from Minnesota?
Nah.
Where are you originally from?
Well, I'm from Minnesota, but I was born in Chicago.
You was born in Chicago.
Minnesota.
Okay, I'm from Gary originally, but Minnesota is my home.
Yeah.
You got a residence in Atlanta now?
Yes.
How did that come about?
Pandemic. We moved to Georgia right before the pandemic, and real estate had just started going well here. I really became a realtor, but I was still a comedian. I was like, I want to go there and chase this dream. I want to get on TV and find that TV credit because I'm good at comedy now. I'm good at being on stage, but nobody knows me. So we moved to Atlanta November 2019. So that's right before the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And so I'm working at Delta Airlines. I'm doing comedy. I'm doing real estate. And so I'm not really settled in Georgia because my money or my income and my life is still in Minnesota, but we're going, right? So we get down there. My wife couldn't find a great job. It was like, this is a disaster, a disaster. But we stepped out on faith, and we made the move. And so, what are we in 2021 now? I'm still in Minnesota a lot, because it is what it is.
That's what I was going to ask you. How often, on a weekly basis, do you fly back and forth?
It used to be 2 times a week. 2 times a week. Look, thank God for flight benefits, but 2 times a week I would be back and forth. Tired. But now I'm to the point where I'm comfortable where I'll do like a week on, a week off, or 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. I've got a hold of my business here to where I'm comfortable being away. Because like when you chose to work with Pierre, you're like, I want to be with Pierre. Like, who's this person showing me houses? I don't know this dude. But I've gotten comfortable with like, all right, I need help. So if I'm not available to show a house, I'm going to be somebody who's good at or as good as I am to do this.
That's definitely
keep my buyer still comfortable.
Yep, that's definitely a worry.
A
worry when you're dealing with somebody like, oh, does he live? Because even me in the process, like, does he live? Like, how accessible is he? And
the thing about it is like you would never know I was gone. Like people never knew I was even gone. I was like, what are you? Like, I need to see the house. Cool, right back. 2-hour flight, right back. I'm just that. I'm a figure it out type of person. Like, by any means, we're gonna get it done. It's like, so this year was my best year in real estate, but I was gone the most in Georgia. Like, I was like, how am I doing this? But it just works. And so
find a way.
And I'm good at like reassuring. Like, let's say we're working, I'm like, hey, bro, I'm gone. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna make sure you see the house no matter what. Whether I do it or somebody shows you, you're gonna see it, and I'm gonna make sure you see it with the right set of eyes. Because your eyes are different than my eyes in real estate. So I'm always like reassuring. And then people who choose to work with me kind of know my lifestyle now, and so like that I'm still doing it, but it's gonna work out. So.
Okay, you spoke on your mom who passed. Mm-hmm. Who would you say your biggest inspiration is
for real estate?
Period in
life. Kevin Hart, to be honest, like
wow,
like without being like the normal, like my kids and my family, like that's a duh, like, that. But like somebody just like, dang, this man is killing it. Kevin Hart and is a comedian based in just life in general, a comedian named Lil Rel. So you saw
familiar.
So you saw like he was in Get Out, the security guard or whatever, and I picked those two because they came from urban comedy spaces, all black comedy spaces, and they transcended mainstream comedy without changing who they were, right? And so that applies in life in general. If you can do whatever you want to do in life and stay true to who you are, that's lit, bro. And so like even then going back to real estate, and I take that ideology with me, I don't wear suits and ties all the time. I don't wear them at all, really. I wear Jordans, I wear Yeezys, I wear, and that's what I'm going to show up in most of the time. And so, and it works. So like the young realtor, most of us in this office are young. The ones that are, and most of us are, the young black ones, we wear Jordans every day. And so we're not going to change who we are to conform. We're still great at what we do. So you're going to, you know what I mean? So
it's great when you're not forced to do that.
Yeah.
Because most, jobs, especially when you're talking about corporate and stuff like that, is suit and tie. Talk to me about the battle or lack thereof of wanting to make it in your hometown versus spreading your wings. Because I think a lot of people, when it comes to me, would say, man, I wish you would have went outside the state more and got that love somewhere else, because normally you get the love, the last place you get the love from is where you're from. So
it is difficult to go somewhere and start over again. I had made relationships in Atlanta, relationships everywhere in the country as far as comedy goes, but to go somewhere and basically be new in the new scene is not easy. And so I missed Minnesota. I didn't realize what I had at home. I'm not a celebrity, I'm not whatever, but I built something at home, and if I would have kept going at it, you know, it would have transcended somehow, some way where I'd have made it. I didn't have to go to Atlanta to do that. I didn't, but I got frustrated because I thought that it wasn't happening fast enough. Especially when Hart of the City, when I lost that shit, I was like, nah, this is stupid. Mm-hmm. But I started getting looks though. You know what I mean? I was like, let me go here and try to get on TV. But it's like this. I left a whole good foundation to try to. So to your question, I prefer building a home and just taking that home love and growing on that and just feeding off of that and figuring it out from there. Because going out of town and moving away is difficult. It is difficult. I don't know how it is for music.
I see and I hear so many people, mm-hmm. and you can tell when they've reached their breaking point. Mm-hmm. I'm leaving Minnesota, man.
Yeah.
I hundreds of artists always say that, and then 5 months later they're like, I'm back, y'all. Grass ain't always green on the other side, but I commend them mm-hmm. for jumping in that water. Right. Not sticking a foot in there, jumping in there, because everybody ain't willing to do that. So I just wanted to get your perspective on that.
So like you say, because like local, we were saying before we got on, we're accessible. And we want to stay on stage. We want to keep working. And so if we got 9 shows in 3 days in one place, anybody finna, you know what I mean? It's like, all right, we'll see you when we see you. And so that's the difficult part. But then again, it's like, all right, make what you do so good that they're gonna come to one of those shows somehow, some way. It's so just like being good at what you do and being likable. People don't pay attention to being likable. That's a very important. I watch Kevin Hart on that a lot. If people like it, they're gonna rock with you somehow. So it might not come to every show. They might come to 1 or 2 every year, but they're gonna come if you're likable.
A close friend of mine told me that, and that stuck with me. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, man, people buy your clothes, people mess with your music a lot of times because they like who you are as a person. Yeah. More so, they might not even like rap.
Right.
But if they buy into you as a person, they're gonna support you. And again, like you just said, people kind of forget that part of it.
Even to that point. So I battled a lot in my mind, not even in real life, that people wouldn't choose me as a realtor because of who I was as a comedian, right? But people are choosing me because I'm likable, not because, and whoever's not choosing me because they know somebody else. At the end of the day, it's not because I'm a comedian.
I feel like if anything, you being a comedian kind of helps it because you're easygoing and you know, like people are nervous, stressed out, all that stuff during this process. And the fact that you can put on both of those hats,
right? You
can be the serious guy. You could be the laid back, funny guy, whatever the case may be. That eases people's fears. So to me, that's a benefit. But yeah, of course, I
thought it was the inverse. Like
because
they don't play too much.
Yeah, when people see you in a certain light, that's me sitting down and having these interviews. I don't know what anybody's perception, but when they hear me talk, they're like, "Wow, I never knew. I never knew it was that part to you." So that's interesting, man. What's some of your goals, man, going forward? Like, do you write down goals? Is it just kind of things in your head that you know you want to accomplish? What are some of the things you want to accomplish?
So ultimately, I want to have a comedy club. I do want to have a comedy club again. That's like set and like that's gonna happen here in Minneapolis. One way or another, it's gonna happen. I'm still just figuring. Real estate has taught me how to be a businessman for real. Learning about how to handle money and where to place things and how, you know, leases and stuff like that work. And so now I feel like I'm fully equipped almost to run a business the right way. And so I do want to have a comedy club again. I want to get into real estate investing as far as rental property goes. Because buying and selling as an agent, that's a lot of work. And so I want to find ways to kind of lessen my burden, but still do what I love. So the comedy club, rental properties, and just still touring and being a comedian is like, I'm an easygoing person. I don't put a lot of stress on myself as far as like trying to be a gazillionaire and stuff like that. I just want to live comfortable and just do what I love to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Before we get up out of here, man, first and foremost, I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
For trusting me. You know, anybody, because surprisingly during this whole process, most people that I reach out to, it ain't no questions asked, for sure. They don't know if I'm coming with a box. They don't know what I'm coming with. And then when I pull everything out, they're like, okay, it's legit. I didn't know what he was going to come with. But I appreciate you for trusting me and over the years always coming through. That's important too. I always remember people who do what they say they're going to do, because there's so many people in this game that don't do what they say they're going to do.
That's a fact.
And I think a lot of people talk about, and maybe it's like that with the comedy too, like they talk about, oh, people clicked up, and then it's like you deal with enough bad people. When you meet those few good people, you hold those people close and you deal with those people, because it's a lot of people that ain't genuine in the game. So again, thank you for that. Before we get up out of here, man, I want to get your favorite 5.
Okay.
First, I think you just told me, but favorite comedian of all time?
Bernie Mac.
Bernie Mac, okay. That's different from the Kevin Hart. This is your guy, biggest inspiration.
Inspiration is Kevin Hart.
Favorite movie of all time?
The Wood.
That's probably in my top 2 to 3 too, man. Something about that.
But I mean,
you can give me an honorable mention.
The Wood honorable mention. Get On Up, the movie about James Brown.
Okay, I need to watch that a few more times. I've only seen it once.
Yeah.
Album that changed your life?
Consequences Don't Quit Your Day Job. Consequences Don't Quit Your Day Job.
Wow, that's a nice one. You pulled that one out. Favorite shoe of all time?
Jordan 1s.
I knew it was going to be something Jordan related. And your favorite food you can eat this every day?
Tacos or Chinese shrimp fried rice.
Hey, I'm not going to go against that, man. Tacos or pizza for me, for sure. But again, man, thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Hopefully people learn a lot more about Pierre through this interview. Ambitious entrepreneurs, man. I try to have people on here who are striving for greatness or who have already done great things, and he has already done great things, man. So until the next time, y'all.
Nobody came before, ain't nobody coming after. A champ like the Raptors, we going for the repeat. Trending topic without the likes or the retweets. Rob is the one, Stilo is the realest. 4 dots on the track, you know we about to kill us. Got these niggas in their feelings, but ain't nothing they can do about it. We was in the lab plot, nobody even knew about it. I was young and immature, but I grew about it. We converted non-believers, who are you to doubt it? Rob is the one, Stilo is the realest. 4 dots on the track, you know we about to